Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as we react to Ralf Rangnick's press conference for the game against Southampton, which of course is tomorrow lunchtime. Lots to get into. Harry Maguire looking like he's going to start, which I think is probably going to be the starting point for this reaction. I mean, yeah, look, I want to talk positively about Rangnick, and he's responded to these comments about his training not being good. He actually spoke about that in the press conference. He also spoke about Ronaldo, saying that he's not scoring enough goals. He spoke about, a few other things about, should United be doing better with the players that they've got? Is it really progress? The training ground criticism, like I said. Why we're not able to play well in the second half. Lots to get into. And ultimately, we will get into that. But I just something just came to my attention just before we went live. If you're on Twitter, if you check Marcus Rashford's last tweet, or it might be second to last tweet now, it's basically a picture of Marcus Rashford in the new training top. Remember we were talking then this week about how Manchester United value players that are big on social media over players that aren't. I feel sometimes we talk about things and people might go, well, I'm not so sure about that. That is Exhibit A. This happens all the time. So basically, Manchester United have released a new training top with a new sponsor. Marcus Rashford has just tweeted with 5 million followers himself in a training top saying, love Man United. Like, that is simply about that just says everything about Manchester United and the value of why United want their followers, their players to have so many followers. Because remember what I said about Ruben Diaz has got 300,000 followers on Twitter, but Harry Maguire's got 1.9 million. There's no correlation in ability, but this is what United do. They want big social media players. That's what they want, because then when they get their training ground kit and they go, Harry, can you tweet it out? 2 million people. Sponsors, look, we can get this out there. And that's, Marcus Rashford, 5 million followers. He's just put a tweet out in the new training kit. This is what Man United are. Social media FC. They value your social media following over your ability. It's an absolute prime example, and it does need to get called out because this is what Manchester United are. That is what it is. Literally one of our players with a big social media following has just put a picture out of them in a training top, which will be part of the brand package that Manchester United have negotiated with that training supplier. We are so mercenary as a football club. But look, I just wanted to evidence that because we've been speaking about it earlier in the week, and it happens with all our players, all of them. Marketing FC. Anyway, let's get into it. We're going to talk about Ralf Rangnick's press conference. Gotta say, really good press conference again. There's a lot of tactical stuff to get through. He spoke about the training ground criticism. He spoke about quite a lot of things, but one thing I'll start with and I'll come back to because I quite liked this. It was a question that Simon Stone put to him about, you talk about progress quite a lot since you've been here, but when you look at the spend and the expense that's been spent on this squad, does it surprise you where they are? And Ralf Rangnick said it's a very good question, and I know you've phrased it in a clever way instead of saying what you really mean, which is what Simon Stone's really saying is, it's not progress, is it, when you've got the players that you've got and you're fighting for fourth? But Rangnick answered it in the intelligent way that he is, and by saying that I can only look at the last 10 weeks because that's how long I've been here. There is progress there, and now it's about results and getting the results that we deserve, because ultimately we should have beaten Burnley and we should have beaten Middlesbrough, and we've got to find ways to get what we deserve. Ultimately, Ralf, you're not getting the results you deserve because of the players. I think Ralf Rangnick does deserve to beat Borough, and he did deserve to beat Burnley, but it's the players that's holding him back. Like, we all know the problem at United is the players. It's very, very, very clear. They're not good enough, and they've got the wrong mentality. And unless Rangnick can get that out of them, then you'll always get let down. It's not. We get what we deserve, Ralf. Basically, we can tell you that because we've been here longer than 10 weeks. We've been watching this for the last 10 years. We didn't deserve to beat Burnley because we've lost games like that before and we've drawn games like that. But to him, who's new into it, he won't understand how his team can play well for 60 minutes and then fall apart in the last half an hour. But we can. He even spoke about it. He said, they need to stick to the plan. It's about concentration. The number 8's drifted from what they were doing. We need to score more goals. But ultimately, it comes down to the players. But look, I want to talk about the key points from the interview. He was asked specifically about Ronaldo and he was asked specifically about Maguire. I'm going to start off with Maguire because he was asked about Maguire's form and he said, well, he had an injury. He came back against West Ham and he was superb. I don't think he was superb against West Ham. I really think that performance was over-egged. I think that performance reminds me of McTominay against Burnley, where he's not played well all season. He scores against Burnley and scored 2 goals, played well, and everyone's like, oh, he was world class, this, that, and that. It was Burnley, and it was one game, and then he was crap in the next one. I think that Maguire performance at West Ham was overrated because it wasn't his usual bad one. He actually did okay. And what happens with Maguire's and Fred's and McTominay's and others is that if they put in an okay performance, because it's not the normal crap, everyone thinks it's world class, when actually it's just an average performance. I don't think Maguire was superb against West Ham at all. I thought he was okay to good, but that gets overplayed because it wasn't his normal rubbish. He then said against Borough he was good, and then against Burnley, as a team we've got to do better defensively. And then he went on to say that he expects Maguire to play well tomorrow against West Ham, which I presume means he's going to start. Now, this presents a difficult situation for some people because I said after the Burnley game, if I'm firmly behind Rangnick, but if he picks Maguire on Saturday, I've got to question that. Not in the sense that I'd be Rangnick out, because I really like Rangnick, but I would really question what's going on at the football club if Harry Maguire is starting tomorrow. Now, I did that comparison video this week, and I don't propose to go back through that. But on virtually every level, apart from heading, Lindelof's a better defender, statistically. Now, I'm not massively into statistics. I'll go off my eyes. And I think Lindelof's a better centre-back than Harry Maguire this season. I really do. Off my eyes. But statistics prove it as well. He's the better centre-back. He's the better tackler. He's the better reader of the game. He's the better passer. He's quicker. Maguire's better in the air. That's it. So I cannot justify Harry Maguire starting the game tomorrow. If you can, that's fine. And I hope he puts in a performance like he did against West Ham. But he does not deserve to start tomorrow. I would start Jones, Bay or Lindelof ahead of him. And if he is starting tomorrow, I'm sorry, wherever it's coming from, it is pure and utter favoritism, which is destroying this football club and has been for years. He should not start tomorrow. Universally, I'm seeing loads of fans saying he shouldn't start tomorrow. So why is he starting tomorrow? Why is he starting tomorrow? And look, Shaw is backed Ralf publicly, says Frank. I'm going to talk about that. But we're talking about Maguire at the moment. And look, many people will say that Rangnick picks the team, it's on him. Rangnick didn't want Lingard to be here, and he's still here. Rangnick wanted a midfielder, and he didn't get one. You can think Rangnick picks the team all you bloody well like. I don't 100% believe that. I can only be honest. I do not believe that, because if this football club was being run like a football club, I'm telling you now, Maguire would not start for probably 90% of the Premier League. If he was at any other club, 90% of the Premier League would drop him. And that might be lower than, it might be 99%, I don't know, but it would. On footballing reasons, he shouldn't play tomorrow. He's not been very good all season. He was terrible in the last game. And let's not forget, Victor Lindelof has performed better than him in most games this season. And he only lost his place because he wanted to be at home with his family after a traumatic burglary. He didn't lose it because he put in a bad performance. Realistically, you could argue that Lindelof should come back into the team now that he's been back from compassionate leave. But he definitely should come back in the team when Maguire's playing badly. It's illogical to me. It's absolutely illogical. The last time Varane and Lindelof played together, they played really well. Lindelof had to take some time off, understandably. Maguire's come in. He's failed. Lindelof should come back. So, look, there is still a chance that Maguire may not start tomorrow, but, it might have been lost in translation or the way that Rangnick replied, but it sounded very much like Harry Maguire's going to start tomorrow. And it's this stubbornness that's going to break this football club. I'm telling you now, Harry Maguire is not good enough for Manchester United where we need to go. On current form, he is not good enough. He is going to have to go up in levels consistently 100%. He's almost got to double his output just to get back to being a top-class centre-back. And I just don't think he's going to be able to do that consistently. So he shouldn't play tomorrow, but he will play. We probably will win. We probably will keep a clean sheet. And everyone will be coming out again going, Harry Beckenbauer, he's fine, this, that and the other. But I tell you what, he's a very lucky guy if he starts tomorrow, because he shouldn't be getting another opportunity. And I think this is something that really really annoys United fans is that certain players seem to get endless opportunities and other players seem to lose their place for no reason. I mean, Donny van der Beek against Watford comes on at half-time, scores a goal, was man of the match for 45 minutes. Ollie gets the sack. Next game, Carrick sticks with the favourites of Ollie. Doesn't get back in the team. He's now on loan at Everton. You know, Delo, fair play, Rangnick's given him a chance, but he was a player for a year that just never got a look in no matter how Aaron Wan-Bissaka played. And now you've got Victor Lindelof and Eric Bailly and even Phil Jones, who all of them have played well this season. Eric Bailly's last game, he was brilliant, wasn't he? Absolutely brilliant this season. Phil Jones' game, absolutely brilliant last game. Lindelof, I mean, to be honest with you, before we carry on with the press conference, let's just say, I can think of Jones's last game, he was man of the match. I think Eric Bailly's last game, I don't think it was the Chelsea game, but, you know, he has played very well. Lindelof's last game, he played really well. So Maguire's keeping people off the pitch, not only who are better than him, that in their last game when he's replaced them, have, you know, almost been man of the match. Don't tell me there's something not right at that football club when a player that's been consistently terrible all season is holding his place against 3 centre-backs that have virtually been man of the match and then dropped for him. It doesn't make any sense, does it? It really doesn't. And look, I don't believe in agendas and I don't believe in witch hunts and I don't believe in, you know, victimising people or anything like that. We're a football channel and we're talking about football. And in a footballing sense, it makes absolutely no sense. And if you want to talk about stats, go and watch the Lindelof versus Maguire head-to-head I did a couple of days ago, because that will prove that as well. On every single level, Maguire shouldn't be starting. But there's something going on at that club. And I'm sure Rangnick would come out and say, I pick the team, I pick the team, I pick the team. I think there are bigger things at play here. If you can get your players to tweet out about a new sponsor for the club, you can definitely say it's in your interest that that player keeps playing. 100%. And we know that Rangnick's been undermined already, so I just don't trust it anymore because, to be honest with you, there's absolutely no logical reason to not drop Harry Maguire tomorrow unless there's something going on. And I don't, you know, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. None at all. Maguire is as useful as an ashtray on a motorbike, says Luke82. Whether he's useful or not, we're talking about whether he should start against Southampton, and he shouldn't. He cost us 3 points on Tuesday night. He shouldn't start. There's 3 other centre-backs that deserve a chance, and he shouldn't start. But you know why they won't? You know why they want to start him? Because they know if they drop him, he'll lose his place. He won't get it back. That's why they're doing it. Anyway, he also spoke about Cristiano Ronaldo, and funnily enough, the question was about Ronaldo first. How do you get the best out of him? Rangnick said it's a team thing. You know, Ronaldo should be scoring more goals. We've had the opportunities, but so should the team be scoring more goals. And that, you know, against Burnley for 70 minutes, it was really good, but we just didn't get the reward from that period. I think that the interesting thing about Ronaldo is that I was looking at some stuff today, and Ronaldo, when you compare him to Cavani, has a better output on most things. Key passes, successful dribbles, shots on goal, XG. You know, he does perform better than Cavani on most things. The problem is that's not great, because if they're both, you know, if Cavani's got 20 goals and Ronaldo's got 30 goals, you're like, well, they're both doing well. Unfortunately, neither of them are doing as well as they could be. But I think it's interesting, again, when you look at the key stats around all areas, I think the only one that Cavani probably would beat Ronaldo in is distance covered. I mean, is that it now? We just want to pick somebody who runs around a lot. I mean, our fans seem to become obsessed with running around. Oh, he doesn't run around and press enough. I mean, if you want that, Cavani probably beats Ronaldo. But if you want to play football, then Ronaldo is better than Cavani on every level, which he is as a footballer anyway. So what I'm saying is I like Cavani. I mean, I'm wearing his bloody hoodie. But, you know, Ronaldo is the better player, and he is the better player in relation to games this season. And you're not taking it from a small pool. You know, Cavani has played quite a lot of games. Ronaldo's played more, but there's enough there to compare them. And, you know, it should be Ronaldo tomorrow. Yes, he does need to score more goals, and I think Rangnick's absolutely correct. Wraith Rovers wouldn't sign Maguire. Imagine the backlash. Not worth it, says Peter Bissett. Thank you very much for the super chat, Peter. And Naveen says, in that comparison that you did between Lindelof and Maguire, one thing I'd like to add is the number of times he gives the ball away to the opposition, even though he wins the header, says Naveen. Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, you know, the only thing I would say about that is that somebody said about I think it was Robert McCormack actually, he said that when it comes to successful defensive actions like tackling, interceptions and headers, Maguire is the lowest out of all our centre-backs. But Robert was saying that's because Maguire makes himself the free man a lot, like the sweeper, which is actually correct and may explain why he doesn't win as many tackles, because he doesn't go for the tackles. But Harry Maguire, I wouldn't let him sweep my front doorstep. Why is Harry Maguire acting as the spare man? And I'll tell you why he's acting as the spare man, because he's slow. He's acting as the spare man because he's slow. He's no sweeper. He's not a bloody sweeper. He's backing off because he's terrified of someone running at him. That's what it is. So I just think he's a liability. I think that at the moment he needs taken out of the team. And I'll bring this in here as well. He was asked about the training ground criticism, which was a very good question. He was asked about the training ground criticism. Now, I'll bring in what somebody said there. Luke Shaw has spoken to TalkSport today and said that, you know, the players like Rangnick, they've got his backing and this, that and the other. My theory is that we have one or two, three or four players who are consistently leaking to the press. And I've always felt this, and I pretty much know who it is. But it's not my job to call them out. You know, you can figure it out for yourself. And they will be players that aren't happy with their form or not happy with their game time. And they are leaking a lot, basically. I don't think they speak for the majority. I thought that the leaks this morning about, you know, poor training, likening Chris Amos to Ted Lasso, you know, and really saying that the training is poor. I find it laughable, to be honest. Now, Luke Shaw has basically come out and said, I've read all these stories and it doesn't reflect what's going on behind the scenes. Well, Luke Shaw's either not listening or he's making that up, because without a shadow of a doubt, there are leaks coming out of that club. I mean, that was a synchronised leak about Pochettino on Wednesday night, and there's been leaks for a long time, and it's well known anyway. Most people know. Journalists, you know, most people know that there are leaks coming out of that club. The fact that Luke Shaw is behind the manager means Luke Shaw's behind the manager. It doesn't mean that other people in the team aren't leaking information. So, you know, it's a very political answer by Luke Shaw. Oh, we're all really happy. We don't know what's going on. Fred said it as well. I'm sorry, we're not thick. Like there are leaks coming out, but I don't think it's as widespread as some would have it. And I think that there are some players who are not happy who just keep leaking it out. The story before Rangnick came was that he rejected our first approach as he wouldn't give him control. Surely Rangnick's got it in writing, says the real G. Well, he clearly hasn't, mate. When he was told he's got to keep Lingard and he couldn't have a midfielder. So, Mark, we're going to win the Champions League. We have Mr. Champions League. Sue, says H. I hope so. We haven't seen Sue for bloody ages. We need to see Sue tomorrow. Someone get Sue and tell her we want to see her at Old Trafford tomorrow. Put on your red dress, Sue, your red lipstick, do your hair, and please make an appearance tomorrow. It's been too long. We all miss Sue. But on a serious note, we were talking there, and I think that Rangnick, right, as soon as I read it this morning about Rangnick, and Rangnick himself spoke about the training ground criticism, and he basically went into too much depth. I'd have said, Ralf, I'd have just said, I'm not commenting on them comments, they're ridiculous. But Ralf, being the person that he is, he actually started speaking about the way they train and why they have 11 games and all, you know, this. He actually gave quite a thorough answer about it. Ralf, don't demean yourself, right? For anybody who was excited about Rangnick coming to the club, of which I was one and many of you were, what was the reason you're excited about Ralf Rangnick? Did you like the name? Do you think he look good in glasses? You know, the fact that he's not an ex-United player? No. The vast majority were excited by Rangnick because he is seen as the guru of this modern style of football that's been developed by people like Tuchel, Nagelsmann, Klopp, Hasenhüttl, who we're playing tomorrow, and many others. Rangnick has a reputation as being a really dynamic, methodical, forward-thinking, modern manager and coach. When I woke up this morning and saw that United players were not happy with the dinosaur tactics of Rangnick that were just not modern game, I laughed. I was like, oh my God. If you're going to try and destabilise the club, the manager and undermine them, do not go at Rangnick in relation to his coaching techniques, because he is and does have an amazing reputation in world football for it. Now, it doesn't mean he can win the Premier League or anything like that, but as a coach and a builder of clubs, his reputation is absolutely superb. So these people who are going on about, this, that and the other, acting like he's a bloody German Ollie, it's ridiculous. It's disrespectful, but it's so disrespectful, it's laughable. So I would not want to be these United players that are leaking this sort of stuff out, because I tell you what, it's like calling that American coach Ted Lasso. Imagine if a certain player was saying that to his face. I'd just go, yeah, but at least they didn't spend £80 million on an Aldi version of Richard Dunn, and you could say it to a load of other players as well, couldn't you? I'm being a bit unfair on Maguire there, but you know what I mean. I'm sure Maguire's not the one saying it's Ted Lasso or anything like that, but what I'm saying is, for Harry Maguire, you could say it about McTominay, you could say it about Fred, £50 million on a bloke that's not even Brazilian, born in Stoke, you can take the piss out of these coaches, but they've got way more ammo to come back at you. So I think some of it's a little bit nonsense, but ultimately what's not nonsense is these players are the problem. The board are the biggest problem, but so are these players. Take it back to the football again. Rangnick was asked why it is that, what is the issue over 90 minutes? And he did say, look, we've got to stick to the plan. We've got to be focused. We've got to be concentrated. Players didn't stick to the plan. For some reason, they drifted. My two number 8s drifted from the centre, which they'd done in the first half very, very well. We're not scoring our chances. We've got to get what we deserved. We've got to play for 90 minutes. Rangnick's absolutely spot on, but he's identifying the real issue. The players are the issue. I watched the game against Burnley, and at half-time, I was like, we should be 2 or 3-0 up. Forget the goals that have been disallowed. I actually think they were rightly disallowed, but we still should have been 2 or 3-0 up. The game plan was very, very good against Burnley. We were physical. We won the first ball, we won the second ball. And we didn't let Burnley intimidate us. And for 45 minutes, it was brilliant. And then the second half, we switch off for 20 minutes. That's not Rangnick saying, put your feet up, you've won the game. That's the players. Rangnick can say we don't get what we deserve, but as fans, we know these players aren't good enough and they have a weak mentality. They can't do it for 90 minutes. You can't coach these players to do it for 90 minutes. That's basically what the journalist was saying. Why can't your team play for 90 minutes? Why couldn't Mourinho's team play for 90 minutes? They were known as half-time FC. Van Gaal's team was known as half-time FC. Ollie's was second half FC. And now we're seeing it with Rangnick as well. There's a common recurring theme. Weak mentality players who aren't good enough. They can't do it for 90 minutes, week in, week out, because they're not good enough. Because to be able to do it for 90 minutes, week in, week out, you become a Man City player, you become a Liverpool player, you become a Chelsea player. No other team does it. Arsenal aren't fighting for the league, Spurs aren't fighting for the league. No team can play for 90 minutes consistently well, unless you are an elite team. We used to do it, that's what United was all about. We've struggled to do it for years because we've recruited badly and brought in people that don't really fit the profile of being a successful football team, but do fit the profile of growing into social media FC and building out the brand. And that is the real problem that Rangnick cannot express. He knows we're not playing for 90 minutes. He knows he can't get them to play for 90 minutes. And he knows why he can't get them to play for 90 minutes. But it's not on his coaching. You cannot coach players that aren't good enough and don't have the right mentality to play for 90 minutes. And that's his problem. As soon as they come in at half time, they have a cup of tea, they're down the tools again. They can't do it. So, I think as well, just going back to that point, somebody just said about Maguire, call them out if you've got proof. Until these players are dealt with and brought to light, this club is done and dressing room unrest will continue, says Jack Birtles. And Paul Downey says, Richard Dunn and Harry Maguire shouldn't be used in the same sentence. It's disrespectful to Richard, says Paul Downey. Well, look, going back to my point again, the criticism of Rangnick's coaching is ridiculous if you know Rangnick's CV. This is the guy who, when he first... how can a player say Rangnick's coaching style is outdated? And, I'm actually going to blow this out the doors here. I'm going to blow the bloody doors off. Give me my glasses. I'm going to blow the bloody doors off, right? I'm going to blow the doors off this idiocy that's come out this morning. So if you're not aware, there's leaks this morning that players at United are not happy with the coaching of Ralf Rangnick. It's archaic and it's old-fashioned, right? Let's blow the doors off this straight away, okay? The reality is that when you look at the way that Rangnick coaches, you would know that that's a load of nonsense. But listen to this, right? What's the first thing that Rangnick wanted when he took over as United interim coach 10 weeks ago? Video analyst. United didn't have one. Why did he want a video analyst? So that when they're training and when they're playing, he can compile highlights and send them to the players for them to watch. What happened? He did it. What happened? Leaks about players not wanting to do homework, right? They're idiots. They're moaning about a manager, right? That's old-fashioned and doesn't know what he's doing in relation to coaching. But a few weeks ago, they were moaning about having to do more training and more in-depth homework around video analysis that wasn't being done before. Which side of the bread are you going to go and eat today? They're idiots. They're so unhappy that the fact that they're not good enough, and they're so desperate to protect their own reputation that they'll throw mud at anything. But to question Ralf Rangnick as a coach when he's doing things that the previous coaches didn't do, and he's one of the most analytical and forward-thinking coaches in world football, it's just hilarious that they come out and try and tell us that he's a bloody Aldi Sam Allardyce. It's a joke. But also, just in relation to the manager as well, yeah, scared of the dark FC, says Jack. And just in relation to Maguire as well, in struggling to understand why he's going to start tomorrow when Lindelof deserves to, Bailly deserves to, Jones does, and he's been rubbish. Also, the big thing for me is that if you know anything about Ralf Rangnick, he wants to play a high line, he wants to play with two centre-backs, and he wants to play a high line. If you're going to play Varane, which you're going to, and you're going to play a high line, Maguire's not even in your first three. You're either going to play Lindelof because he's more mobile and he reads the game better and he goes and attacks the ball more, or you're going to play Bailly because he's quicker. So, on every level, I do not understand why Harry Maguire's starting tomorrow. One, he doesn't really suit the way Rangnick plays. Two, he's been ridiculously bad for weeks. And three, we've got better options at centre-back. But four, I just think the club pick people that they like and are favourites and benefit them. And I think that's what it's all about. And I wouldn't be surprised if, we'll never find out, if there's pressure to pick Harry Maguire because he's the captain and everyone likes him. So we'll see what happens with that. Apparently there's some De Gea quotes for me to talk about, but I am just working my way through the press conference here. So he spoke about that. We spoke about Maguire, spoke about Ronaldo. He spoke about Southampton actually. And look, there is a bit of a backdrop to this Southampton game. He said, I was watching the Southampton game at the weekend, on Wednesday night. Very, very good, well prepared. They play at a high level and it's going to be a challenge for us. Obviously, Hasenhüttl is another disciple of Rangnick, so there's a good relationship there. He said his assistant coach is very, very good. He's a very knowledgeable, excellent coach. But obviously, I need to beat him and get 3 points tomorrow. So it's going to be a very good game tomorrow. I think if Southampton play even 70% of how they played against Spurs, it's going to be a really good footballing game. I think it'll be high intensity. The ball will be moving around a lot, and if we do win that game, I think we will see a good United performance. In fact, I think maybe 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, I do think we'll win. I think there'll be a lot more positivity. It's short-term positivity, but we'll take anything at the moment. And I don't think Southampton are going to come up to Old Trafford and play us off the park like they did Spurs. So I think we will see a reaction tomorrow because they know that dropping points against Burnley was unacceptable, and we'll have the crowd as well. But very complimentary of Southampton, which I think any good coach would be. And he said, look, we need to be a 90-minute team. The last 2 games we've played really well in the first half against Borough and Burnley, and we've won neither game, and we need to be better. But he also spoke and said that the players have spoken. He speaks to the players after the game, and they're definitely seeing the improvement in their personal performance, in the possession and the way that we're moving the ball. And I think Rangnick is very keen to suggest and state that the team has improved, and it has. It definitely has improved. And when you think about he was also asked a question about set pieces, and look, I hope Ralph's not jinxed it here. As soon as he said it, I thought, oh God, I've jinxed a lot of things, Ralph. That sounds like a jinx to me. He said, we've not conceded from a set piece in ages, and I thought we'd scored from a set piece against Burnley, but VAR ruled it out. But we've been defending really well recently, and we haven't been defending from set pieces. So he was asked about Ward-Prowse and the threat of set pieces. I think certainly I can think of I think Southampton have scored a few times against us from set pieces. I remember like at their ground, corners and stuff before. But they're a good team, Southampton, and I think he's a very good coach. I think he, in a way, he's a little bit like Potter, apart from the fact that Southampton have got a bit of a bigger reputation than Brighton. But they do play a good brand of football, and they don't really have superstars. So I think Southampton go under the radar a little bit because they've been doing it for so long. But he is a good coach, and they have got good players. And on their day, they'll give us a ride. But of course, an early red card might help us, like it did a couple of years ago in a game like that. We could do with something going our way for a bit, really, couldn't we? But let's hope we don't concede from a set piece tomorrow. We do have some quotes from David De Gea coming out. This is from an interview. Let's just read what he said. He says, "I think someone has put a curse on us or something. The truth is I don't know about what's going on. I really don't. People always ask me and we talk about it as teammates. We just don't know what's happening, probably in relation to the position. We should have completed for more trophies, bigger titles, but I just don't know why this team doesn't function." I mean, I hope that's not a genuine answer from David De Gea. If he's genuinely sat at home puzzled as to why they're not winning major trophies, I'd be worried about David De Gea's football knowledge. It's the political answer. I mean, if anybody's sat there going, "Oh yeah, I'm like David. I can't understand why we're not winning major trophies. It's unbelievable." I mean, look, maybe if you were Man City and you were fourth, and you'd be going, "How are we not winning trophies?" But come on, let's be honest. We know why we're not winning. Do you think we should be winning the Premier League? Do you think we should be winning the Champions League? Do you think we should be winning the FA Cup? No. It's not a puzzler to most United fans why we're not winning trophies. We're not good enough. I think a lot of United fans, the realisation is hitting. The frustration is there, but the realisation is hitting. We are not good enough. We've only got 2 or 3 players that would get in a Liverpool or a Man City side. So how can we say, it's puzzling that we're not winning major trophies? We don't have enough good players. It's as simple as that. We've got too many social media players and not enough good players. And that's what United have built because they're a brand. He also says, I don't know if that's a good thing. His save stats, teams create a lot of chances against us, but that's what I'm here for, trying to stop goals. So he's talking about he's made more saves than any other goalkeeper in the Premier League. It's not a good thing, David. It's a bad thing. You should have the least amount of saves, and that probably means we're top of the league. You don't want your goalkeeper to be active. We had 2 of the best goalkeepers in Premier League history in Van der Sar and Schmeichel, and we've got another one in David De Gea. David De Gea has been worked more than. I mean, I'd love to know how many saves David De Gea has made compared to Schmeichel and Van der Sar, because Schmeichel was never a contender, as far as I remember, for Player of the Year. He was the best goalkeeper in the world, but he was never a contender for Player of the Year because he was never making as many saves as we were scoring goals at the other end. David De Gea is constantly Player of the Year because he's doing a lot of bloody work. He's doing more work than our strikers, which is not the way round it should be at United. He says, even just seeing Ronaldo walk through the door gives you a desire to show you're at his level. He works so hard and is very demanding of himself. I think he's a bit calmer than before, but he is a machine. So David De Gea speaking glowingly about Ronaldo, and David De Gea is definitely a player that's responded to Ronaldo's presence. Unfortunately, so many of our players haven't responded to the presence of one of the greatest players in the world, which is surprising. But we can't pick the pips out of that without knowing. I'm confident we'll get a result tomorrow. I think that I've just got a feeling that Southampton might have tired themselves out against Spurs. It was a fantastic performance, but it was a demanding game to come back from a game that they should have won in the first half to have to come back and win it again in the second half. And they've had a day less rest. Plus, I think United need to bounce back. And also, I don't think United are far off. I think if Maguire doesn't make that mistake, we probably beat Burnley. David De Gea makes a great save from Weghorst, but apart from that, I can't really remember a chance that they had. So, I mean, effectively, Maguire cost us 3 points against Burnley. And the top 4 race is interesting now. I mean, that Arsenal result last night was annoyingly, frustratingly competent. And as Incy was saying on the morning show, no FA Cup, no Champions League, no European football, nothing. That all they've got to do is focus on Premier League games. Every Premier League game to them, focus, tactics, refresh, go for it. And we've got to go to the Emirates as well. And they've got a game in hand. I mean, they will drop points. But if Arsenal get some level of consistency, we're in trouble in this race for top 4. So we've got to win tomorrow. Without a shadow of a doubt, we've got to go and win tomorrow. I am on the United Stand FC. I know Ash says Arsenal competent. What's going on? I know. This is why I've got to win. I think if we can win tomorrow and Brighton on Tuesday, and then I'd fancy us to beat Leeds and Watford then. If we can take 12 points from our next 4, in the time we play 4 games, Arsenal only play 2. So we could be 6 points ahead of them. If they lose one of them, we could be 9 points ahead of them. Yeah, they've got a lot of games in hand. I think they'd have 4 games in hand or something like that. But points on the table, that's what we've got to do. What we don't want to be doing is being 2 or 3 points ahead of Arsenal when they've got 3 games in hand. That's not what we want. So we've got to get two very difficult games, Southampton and Brighton. If we take 6 points against them, I don't want anyone to go, oh, it's only Southampton and Brighton. There'll be 2 very good results if we can do that. And look, I would say Harry Maguire's a very, very lucky guy. Very lucky. He should not be starting tomorrow. He's very, very lucky for all the reasons that we've said. And I think that, Eric Bailly and Victor Lindelof are very unlucky. But there you go. The Thunderdome is back at 3. Join me on Twitch. I think the link's in the video description for that. I need some support today because we had a bad Wednesday. So, no, I haven't put the link. Oh, it is. It is in the video description there. You can also get your merch if you want to. We do ship worldwide. The link is in the video description for that. And I will speak to you all. Well, I'm back at 8 o'clock tonight. Friday night Q&A. I love it. Love it. I love it. Friday night Q&A. And also, I'll be on Twitch at 3 o'clock. If you want to watch something, though, there is a Goldbridge Man United road trip. I was in Manchester yesterday. Bit of a road trip. Bit of a vlog around Old Trafford. Check it out. I've not put the link in the video description. I'll put it on the community tab now. Or you can just type Man United road trip Goldbridge and you'll find it on YouTube. But I'll put it on the community tab now as well for you. See you on Twitch at 3. Thanks for watching.